The last colligative property we are going to see is osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure, as I told you in the introduction to colligative property, it's the most important colligative properties among the four to figure out the molecular mass of an unknown solute, because the response in osmotic pressure is much better than the other three. So hence most of the time you have a question in osmotic pressure where you have to calculate the molecular mass of a unknown solute like a protein. It will come up to a big number. What is osmotic pressure? If you see this diagram right here, you see a system where you have two different solutions separated by a semi-permeable membrane. The system on one side is higher in concentration than the other side. So now if let's say the membrane right now in the middle is actually not a semi-permeable membrane, it's like a wall, meaning this solution is completely different than this solution, nothing is going to happen. But if it is a semi-permeable membrane, there is a contact between the two. They can feel the pressure because one side has higher solute, so there is a pressure. So this pressure that is built up, is called osmotic pressure. What it will do is, it will try to make sure the solutions reach same concentration. How it does is, there is two ways you can make two solutions have same concentration. So you have two different solutions. Let's say my blue is higher in concentration than the black one. So what we can do is, higher in concentration means more solute. I can make the solute particles go to this one, so concentration decreases, concentration increases. I can do that, or I can make this solvent go here. By solute going here, the concentration here decreases. Or when the solvent goes here, solvent keeps going, what happens? Concentration here decreases. You do the same. But with a semi-permeable membrane, you want to get this right, only the solvent molecules can move. The solute molecules are bigger. The semi-permeable membrane has pores in it. The solute molecules are hydrated, so they cannot move to the other side. So only the solvent can go. The solvent keeps going until they become isotonic. So here let's define the term. Hypertonic means it is higher in concentration. Hypotonic means lower in concentration. Isotonic means they are same in concentration, so they have the same osmotic pressure. Solute particles want to move away from the higher concentration to lower concentration, but they cannot move, as I told you, because they are bigger in size. So what happens? The solvent moves the other way around. Solvent wants to move, okay, and what happens? You can put pressure and prevent the osmosis from happening. Okay. That is called osmotic pressure. Now where this is useful is, particularly it is used in India extensively right now. We borrow the technology from Israel. They have made miracles with salt water. Desalination. Desalination is basically you take seawater, which is salt water, and take pure water out of that. What you do is you do a process called reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is where you do the opposite of osmosis. So in osmosis, solvent, which is our A, okay, solvent is A, moves from low concentration to high concentration. In reverse osmosis, still A is moving because only it can move in a semi-permeable membrane, but it moves from a higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay. Again, what moves? Solvent is moving. So take for example the water from your well or seawater. It has high concentration of solute in it. I put pressure, reverse osmosis happens. So the water moves from higher concentration, the water you just got, into lower concentration, meaning the water coming out is going to be very, very low in salt that you are ready for you to drink. There is a small tube that comes out of the RO systems. Okay, that's actually the solution that is very high in solute. So imagine, so there is a small tube here. Okay, let's say semi-permeable membrane. This is salt water. I put pressure here. What happens? I keep putting pressure. The solvent molecules will move from here to here. Solvent molecules moving means this is pure water. Okay. Now what I can do? I can use this for drinking. So this is drinking. And what happens here? I keep pushing the water out, so this gets more and more and more salty than what you started with. So this is the pipe that comes out. This water is extremely salty. Now what is it useful for? Actually pretty much nothing. Some people put it for plants, which is also not good for them in the long run. Some people collect the water and use it for washing, which is actually not going to work very well, because washing, you want the water not to be so salty, because the micelle cannot form very well. So that's not going to be useful. It's better that it is discarded. Right. What are the problems you can expect in NEET exam? Obviously, very rarely a theoretical question will come. Now, one of the questions that we can see is, for example, this is a semi-permeable membrane. This is 0.1 molar copper sulfate. This is water. Okay. So now obviously this is blue in color. Chamber A, chamber B. Alright, now what all can happen? Now obviously they can give you 4 different synthesized answers. Now what will happen to compartment B? Okay. Now because this is higher in concentration, water will move from B to A. So movement of solvent from B to A. So if water keeps moving from B to A, I don't actually have any change in color on compartment B. The color in compartment A will go down because it becomes 0.1 to 0.05 or something like that. So color in compartment A goes down, but no color change in B. You want to pick the appropriate option. This actually, I chose this because it's a very good example. Okay. Right away what you will see is, there is a blue color here, there is colorless. Logic says, okay, this has to become colored, but osmosis doesn't happen that way. If I do reverse osmosis, I apply pressure here. I apply pressure, what happens? So in RO, so first let's say osmosis. Water moves from B to A. So A compartment becomes less colored, B is still colorless. Okay. Now I do RO. This is actually very, very important. RO meaning I am putting pressure. So I want the solvent molecules to move from A to B. So water moves from A to B right now. Always the opposite of osmosis. Whatever happens in osmosis, the opposite happens, but still nevertheless both of them are solvent. Water moves from B to A, water moves from A to B. If water moves from A to B, what happens to color of B? It will still remain colorless because water is the only one moving. So water doesn't have color, so it is still colorless. So B is colorless. What happens to A? So I have 0.1 molar copper sulfate solution. I keep removing solvent molecule. Okay, if I keep removing solvent, meaning concentration goes up. Concentration goes up. So more colored. Here concentration goes down. This is a very good example to understand osmosis and reverse osmosis. In neither case, this solution will ever get colored. So you won't understand that. This is a theoretical side of osmotic pressure question that you can get. They can mix and match, but if you understand osmosis, however they ask you, it's not going to make much of a deal. Get certain things in clearly. Only the solvent always moves. Solute, whatever solute will never move. Okay, through a semi-permeable membrane. We saw the theoretical aspect of osmotic pressure. Now the numerical, where most of the question comes. Osmotic pressure is given by the symbol pi. Pi equals ICRT. Okay. Now here you want to be very careful. The values of R you want to use. R is 0.0821 liter atmosphere per mole Kelvin. This looks like PV equals nRT. Because it looks like PV equals nRT, P is atmosphere, V is liter, N is mole, T is Kelvin. So this is 0.0821. For practical purposes, it is 0.08. Temperature is in Kelvin. C is concentration in moles per liter, because this is liter and moles inside. So this has to be moles per liter. I is the Van't Hoff factor. Straightforward. Now we can expand this and write I. Concentration is moles over volume, RT. Moles of solute over volume of solution. Moles of solute can be written as mass of solute over molar mass of solute RT by volume of solution. This equation is more than enough for you to calculate the osmotic pressure, or they may give you the osmotic pressure, ask you the molecular mass of an unknown solute. Pretty straightforward. Now, other question they can ask you is, two solutions are isotonic. A lot of time you get this question. They have the same osmotic pressure. So, pi of first solution equals pi of second solution. So, pi of first solution is, I am going to use the formula I1 C1 R T1 equals I2 C2 R T2. I am putting T1 and T2 separately because osmotic pressure of one solution could be equal to osmotic pressure of another solution at a different temperature. But if they don't mention the temperature or they say the word same temperature, then T1 equals T2. R is constant, it's not going to change. So, if the temperature is same, what it becomes is I1 C1 equals I2 C2. Now, this is the formula for isotonic solution that have the same osmotic pressure at any given temperature. Now, they can give you the concentration of one, ask you the concentration of another. In the lecture, in the video where I solved the mole concept questions for the solutions chapter, I also showed you how the concentration can be given in weight percent, volume percent, all those. Let's look into an example. A 5% solution of cane sugar is isotonic with 0.877% solution of urea. Calculate the molecular mass of urea if the molecular mass of cane sugar is 342. Again, this question is pretty very simple. We know the molecular mass of urea is 60, but still I will show you how to set it up. Okay, I have tabulated what has been given. Now, what you want to do here, you want to make sure that you convert both of them into the corresponding concentration. I value for sugar is 1, I value for urea is 1. So, basically I am dealing with C1 equals C2. Now, I have been given in terms of percentage. What it means is 5 grams in 100 ml, 0.877 grams in 100 ml, or 5 grams in 0.1 liter, 0.877 grams in 1 liter. The best way to do is times 10. 5 grams in 0.1 liter is nothing but 50 grams in 1 liter. This is 8.77 grams in 1 liter. 0.877 in 0.1 liter, 8.77, 10 times more and 10 times more liquid. Now, this is what I have. So, that's my concentration right now. Now, what I need to do is, concentration is moles over volume. I have weight. So, I have to convert, moles is nothing but mass over molar mass. So, I have C1 equals C2. C1 here is 50 grams of cane sugar divided by molecular mass of cane sugar is 342. That equals 8.77 divided by X. Now, if you see, this is mass over molar mass gives you moles. Moles over 1 liter equals moles over 1 liter. So, concentration equals concentration. I have to calculate X. Now, you can do the remaining. Now, this is how you solve a isotonic solution. Normally, they will give you concentration of one in terms of percentage, they will give you concentration of another one in terms of percentage, but they will ask you the molecular mass, or what concentration of solute 2 will have the same osmotic pressure as this concentration of this. So, basically they are asking you C2, they give you C1. It's all playing with words. We will do more problems, PYQ we will be solving it. If you look at it, all the colligative properties, the formulas are very simple, but the only drawback that you will have, most of you will face it, is setting it up really fast and also doing the calculations. Most of the time the calculation will deal with molecular mass, and most of the time the molecular mass will be the denominator. You have to be able to do it. Otherwise they are straightforward problems.